Hello gainers, I'm Ralphie and welcome to my channel called Fitter Philosophy, in which I talk about practical experience-based stoic philosophical stuff without too much academic distraction. And my subject today is on the topic of being bad, the consequences of being bad. And there are a number of interpretations that you can take on badness. There's mildly bad, where you basically are winding somebody up or teasing someone or, inconveniencing someone around you, really for no more than entertainment's sake. But then you can ramp it up and you can become proper bad. You could steal from people, particularly people who don't have a lot of resources, and undeniably there is that superficial satisfaction in knowing that through the process of stealing you've got something for nothing, for a modest risk, with no particular consequences or fallout, so it seems. It's like, for example, an old pensioner comes into the shop and you ask them to change some coin, some notes, and they say, if you get change of 20, I've got 2 10s, have you got a 20, and they hand you a 20, and then you give them a 10, and then you confuse them, so you've just taken the money, half the money, or you just dip their purse, or there's plenty of pickpocketing going on. What you might call superficial crime, and what the law occasionally calls victimless crime, because no one's actually hurt, right? Well, it depends on your definition of hurt, because if you've got a pension and you've taken the money, it may mean that they don't have any food to eat for the next few days. And that's not superficial, and that's not victimless, and that's bad. But then there's more bad. There is the corruption in businesses and with organised crime, dealing in drugs, seeing the consequences of the damage that these drugs do, and this takes very many permutations. And I know that some people would say that if you want to source drugs, you just go to a chemist's shop, a drugstore, and you'll find all the sanctioned stuff. And to a certain extent that is true. But not to kind of drift too far away from my core subject here, we're talking about badness. We're talking about doing wrong and the consequences of it. And it's very easy to intellectually rationalise that there's no consequences of theft, fraud, bullying, intimidation, exploitation. But the thing is, things very rarely stay the same. Things always change, time moves on, and consequences start to multiply, and unintended consequences start to manifest themselves. In other words, it's part of the human condition to make plans in life and control these plans, whether they're good or bad. We're talking about bad at the moment, but often things are beyond mortal humans' control, and you can get away with it for a while, but inevitably there are some consequences, and you can be really smart about it, and you can go about your badness perfectly legally, because legality cuts plenty of slack for people doing bad things, much more than is necessary. But it's part of the human condition, it's part of the experience of life. But the consequences are that when we do bad, we manifest the negativity of that badness, even if we're in denial of a moral compass. And it's definitely the case that the value of a moral compass is routinely underappreciated by far too many people in the modern world, whether you're religious or not. And you get this negativity in your badness. People who are smart, people who are sensitive, can feel that negativity without necessarily explaining it. They can feel it about you. They can feel the danger that you present. And it's also the danger that you present to yourself. Because as time goes on and you try and kind of modify things and change things and try and improve things, you have this legacy of badness and the negative charge that it brings around you. And one of the consequences is that you go through time and you become haunted. You become haunted by the ghosts of your badness. And you can shake them off. You can turn to drugs. You can turn to alcohol. You can be in flat denial and try and be intellectually strong about it. But you can't escape it. It's part of karma. Karma really is a thing. The ancients knew about it. It's out of fashion at the moment, but if you talk to the good people within the world's religions, they will readily identify and understand it. It's the duality of this existence, the yin, the yang, the dark, the light, the positive, the negative. When you really understand objectively how this works, you can see the damage even a small amount of badness manifesting can cause, because it seeds itself and grows. It inspires a confidence which should not be there, because the badness is rewarded in various ways, whether it be simply manipulating people allegedly for fun, or whether you become much more serious and end up killing people, destroying people's lives, which is more or less the same thing. And at this point we can start to examine goodness more clearly, more objectively. In the presence of badness, goodness becomes more illuminated. And this is the way duality in this known, in this level of life that we currently exist, it's hidden in plain sight. Many people are in denial, are trying to rationalize it to suit themselves. But badness creates bad situations, bad manifestations, and it also, and by its very activity, brings badness of malevolent occult forces into the world over which no human has any control or ever has had. And you've got to understand this. It's the nature of reality. I hope you found this interesting. It's rather esoteric. Bear with me. I'm trying to simplify it for you, because in fact it really is quite simple. But the sun is shining, and the sun, the warmth of the sun is never bad. It's always good. But they say too much of that warmth, the imbalance, when the sun starts to scorch and burn, roast and toast, that's when it comes bad. And again, it's another manifestation of the duality of this existence. See you soon.